Hello and assalamu alaikum, my dear students of LGS Quetta Lahore Grammar School Quetta. How are you all? I'm your teacher Wahid Shah. Okay, this time I have brought a lecture for 8th Cambridge subject English reader, the age of possible, and the topic is the invisible man. How are you doing, students? I hope you all are fine and safe. So let's begin with our lesson. Okay, the lesson is about the invisible man. Before going to the lesson, we will go through a brief biography of the author. Okay, Herbert George Wells, also known as H.G Wells, fine, was a renowned British author who is quite famous for his work in the science fiction genre, like The Time Machine and The War of the Worlds. Even The Invisible Man is a novel about how science can lead to trouble if it gets isolated and unrestricted by morality. Wells, who is aptly called the father of the science fiction, was born on September 21, 1866 and died on August 13, 46. Fine. So 1866 to till 1946. So it's a brief introduction of our author, okay, biography of author. So then we have our story, plot summary of the invisible man. Let's begin with the plot summary. As you can see the monogram of the book, the front page, H.G. Wells, the invisible man. So in this story of the invisible man, a mysterious man goes to a village called Epping, which is in the middle of the snowstorm. He then stays in an inn that is owned and run by the husband and wife George and Jenny All. They ask him to not be worried about the storm, so he goes to his room with his luggage. This man's name is Griffin, a scientist who usually spends his time in his room experimenting with different chemical and formulas. He is an introverted guy, which becomes a huge problem as he lives in a town where there is a lot of gossip. Griffin goes outside at night, however, he keeps himself completely bandaged up and wears a fake nose. The villagers think that he is very peculiar, especially because there are suddenly weird break-ins and a lot of robberies start happening in the village. But things become worse when the owner Jenny All asks him to pay up his overdue rent or leave. So he gets depressed and frustrated, taking off all his bandages and cloths and manages to disappear in the night with his invisibility tricks, like he was an invisible man. Griffin then forces Thomas Marvel, a tramp or migrant worker by profession, to become his assistant. But Marvel betrays him and takes him to the police. So Griffin runs away again. The invisible man beats. So Griffin is the invisible. Keep in mind that Griffin becomes invisible man. Okay. So he is wearing some kind of cloth and like bandages on his face, but under that there is no any body in it. So invisible man beats them up and wrecks some major havoc while leaving. While he is on the run again, Griffin happens to meet Dr. Camp, his old acquaintance from medical school. Griffin then tells his friend Camp about his experiments with invisibility. He also tells him how he has made plans to terrorize England by using his discovery of invisibility. Here is the gist of what he gives him. He was poor and was desperate to study invisibility, so he steals money from his father, who later commits suicide. It's not revealed why he does that. Finally, Griffin gets a grip of the idea of invisibility and proceeds to do these things. First, set his landlord building on fire. Second, wander about around London. Third, rob a department store. And fourth, wear a ridiculous outfit hired from a theatrical costume shop and go to Epping for work. But soon Camp realizes that Griffin has gone berserk and hands him over to the police. But Griffin still breaks through the police line and starts chasing Camp into the town. But unfortunately, the local get hold of Griffin and kill him. At the end of this story, it is revealed that Marvel has saved all the notes written by Griffin, in his room at the inn, but luckily he can't make heads or tails out of them. So this is the story. Okay, I have tried to just summarize the story. You can read the story in the book. You will find it in the textbook of the Age of Possible, lesson number 2, how the invisible man, okay, how a person becomes invisible. It is the story of H.G Wells. Okay, he is known as the science father of science fiction. So basically he wrote this story in 1897. Okay, that time the science was not that much developed, but the mind of that person was very much sharp, and he could think about the future. He could write about the future. He was a really great and true writer. Okay, so let's move to the main characters of the story. Okay, basically there are three main characters. The first is Griffin. He is the invisible man, primary and albino college student. He changes his area of study from medicine to physics, then becomes interested in refractive indexes of tissue. While studying, he stumbles across formula that would make body tissues invisible. Finally, he successfully tries the formula on himself and thinks about all the things he could do if he were invisible. Sadly, the positives are far outweighed by the disadvantages. So, Griffin starts opting for crime as a means of survival. Fine. So he changed into invisible man, but he could not change himself again to human. Okay. So firstly he was successfully passed, and in the next attempt while changing himself to human again, so he could not do it. So he was stuck in there. Now he had a plan that he could use his invisibility and start opting for crime and other things. Fine. So next is Mr. Marvel. This is the first character that Griffin makes his assistant and uses as a partner in crime. Mr. Marvel, a short, fat loner, fine, who is the area tramp. Griffin thinks that he is stupid, and so trusts him by believing that he will not be believed even if he tries to tell anyone about his predicament. Okay, third character is Dr. Camp, Griffin's former associate from his college days. As students, Griffin was aware that even Camp was keen about strange and idiosyncratic aspects of science. Griffin actually goes to Camp's house in his final attempt to find an uncompliance and start leading a normal life. Camp, however, does not have a sense of loyalty to his former student, and is not willing to be part of Griffin's grand schemes. He is also quite cunning and lands up betraying the invisible man by pretending to support Griffin's experiments. Fine, these are the main characters I have discussed and told you. Now the minor characters. There are some minor characters. The Alls, proprietors of the coach and horses. Mrs. Alls is primarily in charge. She is someone who will leave Griffin alone as long as she gets her money on time. Fine. The next character is Teddy and Frey. Teddy is a clock repairman who visits the inn for a cup of tea. Then Fahrenheit, a cartman whose job is to deliver luggage from the required station. Then Akas, a general practitioner who wants to interview Griffin as he realizes that he actually saw emptiness where there should be flesh or bone. So these are the minor characters. I have discussed each and everything and try to make it interesting and something very much valuable for all of my students. In order to just understand the topic, please go through the book twice and thrice, read it completely. You will inshallah understand each and everything. And I'm sending you another file copy of exercise. Just do complete your copies and assignments and send me in the Google Classroom. I'm waiting for that. Thank you so very much. Allah Hafiz.